Yeah, he's a real FBI guy, and what's really trippy about him is before I knew who he was, he left me a comment on my shadow video about the shadow people, because I kind of made a music video putting several experiences together, kind of, or at least I tried to, like a little short film. So that's not like one thing, that's several things that have happened to me put together in the same thing, because I kind of feel like they're all connected.
So, folks, if you're just joining us, I'm, of course, Jeffrey Daugherty, your friendly neighborhood Christian whistleblower. I'm here with CJ Ransom DJ. Is that how it goes? Or C Ransom DJ?
Yeah, I don't really spin discs, but I'm a data jockey. So I'm putting out
Gotcha.
stories, pictures, and music and whatever. It's data.
So I just call him Ransom. So I think that works for me. And we were just over on the Leak Project channel, you know, that both of us are on with Rex quite a bit. And they've got a big discussion going on there between a former FBI investigator named John D'Souza. And then what's the other guy's name? I forget his name.
I don't know his, I think it was Jay.
Jay, yeah. And Jay is, looks like he does some personal training, testosterone stuff. And he's also obviously pretty informed. What's that?
I said, yeah, he's pretty awake.
Yeah, he's woke for sure. And I think that he's talked to, you know, and this I think is an interesting point, Ransom. I don't know what you think about it, but talking about the Las Vegas thing, Jay says that he has personally talked to people that did see dead bodies, did carry dead people out of there. So though it may not be we may not understand the whole event, what do you think about those people that are saying that no one really died? It's just a complete false flag?
Well, I too know a lot of people in different places, and the very second night I was contacting early in the morning when people woke up. It wasn't really nighttime; it was nighttime for me. But anyway, right. The next day, and they were confirming several of my friends work in hospitals, and they were saying there was quite a few people coming in with gunshot wounds. That it's a real thing, that there are really people hurt. And I just had a guest on, Kurt Richard Haskell, and he told me the same thing. He knows a lot of people in Vegas, and they're telling him it's a real killing. There's a lot of killing.
Yeah, I actually lived in Vegas for about 5 years. So, you know, I'm pretty familiar with Vegas. And the thing that you know, you see the videos and it looks like they're shooting coming from the, you know, like the lower windows of the Mandalay Bay. And the one thing I know about those windows is that they do not open. So I don't know if it was reflections from somewhere else or if they cut a hole in the window, or if, like, I think the FBI guy was talking about, they might even have, you know, gone in there beforehand and removed some panels or something like that.
I've actually seen some other photos, but I can't verify the date, that show other panes of glass completely removed. So they weren't broken, they were just gone. And those are on the lower floors down there by the fourth floor. But I can't verify what day those photographs were taken, so there's no context on them.
Right. Now, the FBI agent, John D'Souza, or was it Rex, that made a statement that I thought about. I was trying to look on Google and see what is it directly across from the Mandalay Bay, because I wondered if it was reflection.
There's an empty lot across with two smokestacks, two towers. Ironically, they keep coming up, but everything is knocked down across the street from the Mandalay Bay. Actually, we can go on Google and Google Earth right now and just look at it.
So would they have been able to, let me go to Google Earth. Would they have been able to fire from someplace across from Mandalay Bay?
They could have fired from anywhere from the Luxor, in my opinion, to on the ground, anywhere in that empty lot. I mean, nobody was paying attention to the empty lot behind the stage.
Here, let me share my screen.
He's shooting down at an angle.
So here's can you see that?
Yeah.
So here's the Mandalay Bay satellite view.
Yeah, you see right there next door across the street where it's.
So these are where he was shooting from, supposedly up here, right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. And so what's across the street? You say there's a couple towers?
Yeah, look right there. You can see them by your mouse right there. Just zoom in there.
This right here?
No, up above it, closer to the street.
Oh, right where?
Well, right up. Right there by the road. You can just zoom in right there. You see them?
Right there?
No, up here by the Mandalay Bay Road. Right in the middle of the property.
Oh, you're talking about over here?
No, in the empty lot right here, right across from that. Well, yeah, I'm pointing at it, but you can't.
Across the street over here or over here?
Right there where you put your mouse over. There's two giant smokestack towers.
Right here? Oh, over here.
Yeah, right there.
Oh, you know what? And if
It's
somebody's firing from and here was the venue's in here, right?
no, it's on the lot in front of this, so you got to go up more on this. It's in front of the Sphinx. This is why it's so
Oh, so the
occult.
venue is way over here.
That's right. So the Sphinx looks right on to where everyone's being shot at. The tip of the
Oh.
pyramid would have had a perfect view of the killing as well.
So this guy is shooting from over here all the way over to here.
That's right, and that's well over 400 yards.
It's
But
about 400 yards. Yeah.
he is
So if the
shooting down.
guy was shooting from up here,
They could have.
shooting that direction, how would he pick up? How would there be reflection picked up over here? I
I
mean,
don't
down
see that.
here.
I don't see that reflection. And it's weird if you look at all the videos, they make you think that the shooting's coming from behind them when it's actually coming from in front of them. And you see the little green building
Right here?
yeah, that's the stage. So right
Right.
there in front of that would be a bunch of loudspeakers. So these people were more than just victims. They couldn't even hear the firing at first because the sound system was in between them.
So he was shooting from way over here.
Yeah, which is, very possible because he does
Yeah.
have an angle on the victims. The problem is even with the, it's not hard to rain down a bunch of bullets downhill.
Exactly.
But like other people are pointing out, there just seemed to have been more things on the ground where there was people getting shot in views that he couldn't really see from there.
And there was the speculation is that there was hardly any exits in this whole area. The people were kind of boxed in.
You can see them. There's only 3 exits. There's the 2 on your, yep, one
2,
right above that one, and then there's
over
one
here.
Yep, and there is a brick wall with fence. Like you can put the
look
little.
at it. Yeah, you can see it.
So
these
they
were pinned in.
Yeah, they were kettled in there, and they had to go towards the shooting to get out of part of the event. So they could have came out back here, but the people on the stage and everything would have had to have gone towards the shooting.
So if they were going to go this way to get out.
Yeah, that's right. And so they would have had to went back into the line of fire. But you don't think it's ironic that Sphinx is looking right down on the sacrifice area?
I never even thought about that. For some reason, I was thinking, and just with my memories of Vegas, that it would have been over here because I knew this was an empty lot, and I thought they would have the stage and stuff over here. I didn't realize that the stage was actually over here.
I think these lots are very important, though. They're empty lots that are also fenced off, and nobody's paying attention to what was going on in these lots. They're all paying attention to the Mandalay Bay.
Interesting.
I mean, not to be a conspiracy theory, but that's a lot of those 2 towers alone are taller than the venue. So if you had someone right there, they could be shooting as well.
They certainly could. Now, wasn't there some discussion about the singer made some kind of a cryptic remark before the shooting started?
I haven't heard that. I do know that they open it up that particular country music singer and the little group that they were doing. They do an American for the vets, for the active duty thing.
Oh,
and
yeah,
they
that's right.
God bless America and a little, patriotic kind of ceremony at the beginning of the concert. So just hours before this, they had everybody out there with their phones lit up and they were dancing and then a couple hours later, their bullets are raining down on them.
And a lot of people don't realize too that these are 2 great big huge jet fuel containers, and he was actually trying to hit those, and he did hit them a couple times, but for some reason, I don't know if the bullets were spent as far as heat. At least one went into one of these containers, but it didn't ignite.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't from that distance with the AR-15 anyway.
Now, how about this? How about it seems to me that like there was like an M60 or something, because you could hear that real low donk, 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 donk.
Well, I don't know. I made a video showing a regular AR-15 with an M16 lower. And if you put a 50-round drum on there, it sounds just real close to what you were hearing there. I put video, and I was proving that someone can. Not that I'm saying the official story is true, but I'm showing that with 2 guns, you don't need 23 of them. With just 2 guns and a lot of ammo, you could sit up there you could put out about 900 rounds in probably 3 or 4 minutes.
Didn't it almost sound like he was using something belt driven?
It did, but if you have a bump stock or a fully auto, but if you look in those hotel things, there was a 249 brand new gun laying on one of the couches. So that is
It
one
looked
of the
like there was one with the tripod. Is that what you're talking about?
well, they had a bipod on almost all of them, which is so funny that if he's not a real gun professional, that he would have these brand new modern tactical uh, accessories on every single gun.
Yeah. Now explain to people what a bump stock is, Ransom.
Well, let's see here. A bump stock is basically just a stock that has a spring in it. So if you're holding it against your body and you hold it tight, you have semi-automatic fire. But if you loosen up, the recoil pushes it back and makes your finger just bump it. So it's so close to fully auto.
Oh, okay. So it's a cheap way to make it fully auto.
Yeah, there's different things. They have one called a slide fire, which is basically the same thing. And basically, it's just a spring that uses the recoil to shoot the next shot.
I gotcha. And it
So
seems
yeah,
like those are the things that now the NRA is saying, oh, well, maybe we could get rid of those.
yeah, because it makes a semi-automatic legal firearm be able to you can have combat with somebody with full auto with it.
I gotcha. So one of the questions that I had is how come there wasn't any ricochets off the ground? But looking at this, if this is dirt, they're probably going to stick in the dirt most of the shots and not bounce.
Well, there's actually some videos of the bullets hitting the ground inside the venue.
And are they bouncing off?
Yeah, they're making little dust clouds. There was definitely bullets raining down on this crowd.
Yeah, I mean, what a horrific thing. And I lived here for 5 years, and it's just amazing that, something like this actually happens in a place. It came home to me in reality. It really did.
Yeah.
And the guys were talking over on Rex's channel about, who was doing this, who's perpetrating this. And I know let's just speculate, Ransom, on a human level, who do you think are some good ideas for who would be perpetrating this type of an event?
Well, I took a bunch of notes, and the whole thing from the beginning is it's all tied up to Homeland Security and the deep state. I mean, in my opinion,
now, was there actually really a drill in Vegas the day before?
Yes.
That's just lore.
No, that's not lore. That's provable fact, and it's like that with almost every one of these events. It's like a drill gone live.
Ransom, it's not almost every one of them. I mean, literally, it's almost every single event has a.
9/11, I mean, you name it. There's a drill there. San Bernardino drill, or shooter. There was a drill.
Yeah. Even the one we just had before. What was the one before this one? Orlando, there was a drill. There's always a drill, and it just seems why doesn't the mainstream media ever mention, if I'm a reporter, I wanted to be a reporter for a lot of years. I thought I was going to be a reporter, and I would be out there saying, hey, look, why does every one of these events have a drill preceding it?
Well, the reason the media won't talk about it is because from the early 50s, they've been Project Mockingbird. They're a direct mouthpiece for the Central Intelligence Agency.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, because I've been in the Pentagon. There is a room in the Pentagon that has personnel representing each branch, like the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, the Marine Corps, and those people will put together things and they hand it right to the news correspondent that's the counterpart to them. So they're direct fed. And then in 2016, Obama passed a bill that gave the CIA direct control over all media in the United States and legalized propaganda to the U.S. citizen.
Yeah. And somebody asked in the chat room, why does this matter to any of us? Because what matters to us is we got to start out and understand, who is perpetrating it on a human level. And then we can take it out to a wider angle and say, all right, who's perpetrating it on a spiritual level? And we can draw the connections in between. Because even if, I don't know if you know about this latest thing I'm talking about, Ransom, but even if we were able to evict Yahweh as the leader of this vineyard, then you've still got to deal with all of the evil that is in the human realm.
Yeah, the whole pyramid of infrastructure that's been set up to feed this thing or person or whatever it is.
Exactly. So you think it is a government type of action, this whole Las Vegas thing?
I do, because of the weird numerology, for one, but the main thing is that the CEO of the MGM Grant, which owns Mandela Bay, which, by the way, MGM Grant is a movie company. That's Hollywood. That's the spell bringers. They give you the spells with their You know, they're Hollywood, which is a.
But that's not Adelson. They were saying over in Rex's show that it was Adelson. Adelson doesn't own. I dated Sheldon Adelson's daughter's best friend. So I was with, met Adelson several times and hung out in his house. He owns.
He's just a bigwig in Vegas.
What's that?
He's just a bigwig in Vegas that's known to talk to uppitties. But the guy that I'm talking about, his name is James A. Murin, and he is the CEO of the MGM Grant. But he also is a sitting member on Homeland Security's National Infrastructure and Advisory Council. And he's one of the main people on the Critical Infrastructure Security and Resilience National Research Development Plan. That's a mouthful, but basically he's the guy that's going to decide who gets the contract, like Michael Chernoff, the ex-Homeland Security Director.
And Ranson, just to break in, Jen Fisher in the chat room says she backs up your statement. She had a friend that was also there, and that friend says that it seemed like bullets were coming from all directions.
Yeah, I think they had these people tripoded in there.
Yeah, there was definitely crossfired.
There's a kill zone, and I believe there were also operatives. My last guess thinks that they were dressed as security guards.
Could well be. Now, Ransom, let's ask a very practical question. Now, you know a lot more about, firearms and things than I do. If you find yourself in a situation like this and you start taking fire, is it better to hunker down or is it better to try to get the hell out of there?
The further distance that you can get, if you're not actually pinned down and bullets aren't flying on you, it's going to be a gamble either way. I mean, you don't know what the shooter's looking at. But in my opinion, I would try to get space in between me and the shooter. That limits the accuracy of whatever they're shooting at you.
That's what I would think. If I had been there, I would have tried to run. I would have tried to get away.
When in doubt, know your way out.
And that's something that, we're in a place now in our world where when we go to these places, we have to look for exits. I'm a martial artist. I have 2 black belts, and I have, one of the black belts is in, a discipline that deals with urban warfare and urban combat. And just me habitually, when I go into a place, it's just, when I'm walking about, I'm not like stupid. I'm actually looking, I'm taking in, I'm maintaining it. I'm looking about my surroundings, and we really have to be able to all do that now and begin to think in a more proactive way. It's just the reality of the world we live in.
You have to be an American Jedi. And what I mean by that is be aware, use the force, and know what's going on. There's a movie that has a guy that talks about that, and he's talking about when he gets on an aircraft while everybody's putting their bags up, the first thing he's doing is deciding which old lady he's going to have to step on to get to the door, which way the knob goes. He knows that it goes in, not out. He knows the door goes out, not in. And he's already thought about all of this stuff. And I think you should do the same thing just going to the grocery store.
It's unfortunate that we have to be in that situation, but the reality is we have to be we have to understand what we have to do to keep ourselves safe and to keep our family safe. And we really need to be on the place in the place where we're actually looking and being aware of our surroundings and being aware of what's going on, being alert to our surroundings. And you know what, Ransom, let's take that to another level. I work with people every day, and I work with them to go through their analytical mind and remove the gaps that are in their mind so that their blink, their gut instinct, their intuition is spot on. And I believe that once you get there, you can actually get connected to what I call the comforter activation, which is the Christ said that the wisdom of the Godhead is given to you. So I encourage people to do that, because not only do we need to be physically aware of our surroundings, but if we can get our spiritual intuition dialed in, we can know, you can know that something's wrong spiritually, something's wrong energetically, something's wrong frequency wise, well before you can know that there's a problem of a physical thing. You could have gone to that. If you'd have had your intuition dialed in, maybe you don't go to that venue. Maybe you say, I don't know, something feels wrong.
I don't want to go to, well, I'm one that since 2001, I haven't been wanting to go to any crowds, nothing, because I know you give up control when you go to those places. And then there's a lot of distractions interfering with your, if you're aware of things, so when you're dealing with a bunch of people, that interferes with you being able to pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying be scared and stay home and don't go do things. I'm just saying, if you do, make sure you plan it out, how to get out and think about scenarios that may or may not happen.
And stay open to the leading of the spirit. Stay open to changes in frequency. Stay open to changes in harmonics. Stay open to, I mean, if the hair goes up on the back of your neck, listen to your blink, listen to your intuition. What's that?
That you got to keep your spidey sense going.
What kind of spider is he?
Well, my kid found them today. This is a blonde tarantula. We just found them. I was going to do a little show with them later and show them off, let them crawl around, and then let them go.
And he's covered with hair, right, isn't he?
Yeah, and those are feelers.
Exactly. That's why he's covered with hair, because he can pick up vibrations and frequencies.
That's exactly right. Yep.
So we need to, our spidey sense really is a new thing. It's a real thing. I mean, it's not a new thing. It's a real thing. So, you know, people say, well, why are you talking about this? It's making fear. It's making trauma. It's making people scared. Well, we have to realize that this is the world that we're in. And we're talking about strategies for how to keep ourselves safe and deal with this world. I mean, we can put our heads in the sand and make sure and pretend nothing's wrong, or we can just stay home and never go anywhere, or we can actually talk about practical ways of dealing with a real world situation that we find ourselves in. And we're talking about practical and we're talking about spiritual. And with that in mind, I don't know if you want to or not, Ransom, but you were talking about a go bag. What's in a go bag? Talk to me about a go bag.
Well, in my go bag, I have a bag that basically means that if I'm counting on when I leave the house with that bag, that society's over. I'm leaving my phone, my bank account, my ties to community, all of that stuff. You need to be able to let go of attachment at a moment's notice and be able to be self-reliant on you only. Right. The reason I contacted you is because I think a major part of that is your spirituality. You can't be afraid of reality. You just have to accept it and deal with it.
So what is in a go bag? Give us some components of a go bag.
Well, I think the key things are a saw to make sure you can build structure anywhere in a way.
Because I'm writing this down. A saw.
A saw. That's your most important thing. You can cut up forest in a little amount of time with a good saw. A small saw, you can make kindling. You can make big logs. You can do a lot of work in the time.
How big of a saw would you be talking about, Ransom?
Yeah, I have it all done out from last night. I'll just show you.
Oh, okay, cool. Now, folks, we're talking about real world preparation because, I mean, when you're talking about going into a battle trying to evict a god, you never know what's going to happen.
I'm talking about something like this. It's not very big, but it can do a lot of work. You can take down a tree with this in a small amount of time.
Okay, now that looks like the end of a palm tree saw here in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. It's just miniature for you. So if you're in any kind of wilderness, you can make quick work of the plants and stuff around you.
So you can find those like a knife like that'll just fold in and out.
Yes, and I suggest you get one. This one's a Gerber one, but there's all kinds of different ones.
And where would we look for this online if we're trying to find these type of?
Amazon is a great place to go. Unfortunately, that's kind of an evil company, but they are the ones that will get you what you want delivered to your house within a short amount of time.
Within 15 minutes after you order it.
Seems like it.
I actually ordered something yesterday at like 10 in the morning, and it was here before noon. I couldn't believe it.
You must be by a distribution center.
There's one right. There's one down the road.
Everything here.
So we get a saw, and what else do we get?
I think the most important things are a way to drink water, and a life straw is a way to do that. You can drink out of the swamp if barring any alligators you got there, if you might want to check first. But you can literally get right down in some nasty swamp water and drink clean water. And I'll show you one of those too.
I've seen those online that you can buy those things.
Yeah, they're relatively cheap as well.
Does it take a while for it to start coming up the straw, Ransom?
No, it's pretty much immediate.
Okay. So you get yourself a saw, you get yourself a life straw.
This is just my opinion, because you can drink gallons and gallons of clean water with one of these. And what it is they invented this for children in Africa to be able to drink clean water.
Yeah.
Without getting malaria and, dysentery dysentery and stuff like that. So you just basically put this filter in the water, and then you got a straw up here. And by the time it goes through this porcelain, charcoal, silver lined gravity, it's like a gravity filter, but in reverse. So you're sucking it up. So you're just
sucking it. Yeah. And that'll cover you for a bunch of gallons, right?
Yes. I believe they are I forgot what it was, but it's thousands of gallons of water. It's enough time for you to travel somewhere.
So if you get a couple of them, you'd be really good.
Yes, the problem with them is they do expire. So if you buy them, you're going to have to get a couple more in a couple years because they break down.
So I'm thinking you got to have some way to make fire, right?
Yes, obviously this to start out with would be a good thing, but barring that, a magnesium strip and some kind of ready-made kindling that you have with you that's really light too. Like you can use cotton or wool or anything, stuff like that. You don't have to buy it. You can just store a little bit of stuff like that to get, because those magnesium ones, all you need is a knife and you're going to chink on it, and make a spark. You put a little slivers of the magnesium down and then start your kindling. And this is all just junk.
You want to get a decent knife too, I'm guessing, probably?
Yeah. See, I was telling people like that last night. If you don't get a go bag, I suggest you always have these 3 items with you everywhere, always, which is a light to start out with in case you're in the dark, a way to make fire that's easy. Now, the problem with these is in cold weather, these don't work very well.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm not a smoker, so I don't really know.
Well, it's just because the colder it gets, the gas compresses and it doesn't come out. So it's hard to get a flame in the cold. So you need something other than this in a winter scenario. But if you're anywhere in the South, this thing works all day long, every day. And not only that, if you find one, there's a little trick to get one more light out of it, even if it's really, really old. And basically, you just peel off this thing, hold the gas thing down and strike it, and you'll get one more last flame out of this, even though someone has thrown it away.
So a magnesium strip and one of those lighters.
And a good knife, like you said, because you're going to need this for the magnesium strip to
then you got a life straw, you got a regular straw. What else do you want to put in there?
I would suggest paracord to make things.
How about those bracelets they have?
Those are great. You can peel those apart, and there's several feet of that there. But I would suggest if you're going to make a bag, just go ahead and buy. There's for $5 you can get hundreds and hundreds of feet of it. I mean,
paracord, okay. And what would you use that for out in if you're bugging out?
Well, you can make tools. You can tie tools together. You can fix you if you get hurt with it. You can make some. And I suggest duct tape would be on your list as one of the #1 things. You can make a cast out of duct tape. Yeah. You can fix your gear. You can make a spear. You can do so much stuff with duct tape.
Yeah.
Waterproof
what about
stuff.
some type of a shelter? Is there any way to put that in a go bag?
The shelter, that's what your saw is for.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
I mean, because you can make a shelter in no time with the saw.
Okay. So basically with that's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces, and you got a pretty decent go bag.
Yeah, just that by itself. And I would suggest if you live in a cold area, you get some Mylar space blankets. They're so cheap. It's the little square silver. I think I have one over here, matter of fact, too. They call it the space blanket, but basically it refracts 99% of heat. So, and I've actually used one where it got extremely cold, and even my Gore-Tex and stuff wasn't enough, and I broke one of those out and put it between the blankets, and I camp on the ground a lot.
Yeah. What about those things that Rex is always hawking? Those little heat things?
I don't really know about that because I'm kind of more nuts and bolts with things. So
gotcha.
I want to start a fire, but there may be a situation where you can't use a fire.
That's true.
Because people can see it.
Yeah, you don't want to give away your location. Very interesting stuff.
So if you have
would you put a firearm on this list?
I would definitely. I'm not allowed to have one, so I do that verbally or anything. Yeah. But I would suggest if you were a real person and it's a real shit hit the fan type of situation, I would suggest you have both a long gun and a backup handgun.
So if you're talking about a normal person that's not really going to be a handgun expert, are you recommending a revolver or an automatic handgun?
I would suggest a semi-auto. There's no.
So even though a revolver is very safe and I mean it's very easy to use, it's just the limited capacity is what makes it so.
Well, not only that, and they're very. If you've ever held a revolver and it's new, the trigger's not very easy to pull, and the bigger the magnum, it's not for everybody to use. But a semi-automatic 9mm or something like that fires ready. A woman can use it. A child can use it.
You're not worried about them jamming or becoming inoperable?
Well, with anything, I would know your tools, clean it, keep it functional.
That's the only reason I think about revolvers, because I mean, you're probably not going to break a revolver. I mean, it's only going to have 6 shots, but
No, that's something you should. Revolver is not a bad thing to have on your hip. I mean, because that at the time you're using a revolver, it's in your face, whatever the threat is. So
yeah, because
yes,
it's not, yeah, you're not trying to shoot long distances with a revolver, obviously.
and with wildlife, something like a judge, like if you live in an area with bears, I would suggest yes, actually a revolver like a judge that you can either. And the good thing about that is you can load shotgun shells, bird shot, salt. You can, if you want it for home protection, you can warn someone with like a 410 salt rock round, and then the next one's something else.
Yeah.
If in nature, it holds big enough ammunition to take down something.
How about shotguns?
I like shotguns. There's nothing wrong with that for a long gun,
Yeah.
but it does have a distance problem. And most other people, if you're coming, I think the main threat if shit does hit the fan are going to be other human beings.
So shotgun is pretty effective in that situation.
It's pretty effective inside and for hunting, especially if it's long. But I don't see anybody just walking through the city with the big, too big of a gun. If it's not camouflaged very well, you become I don't know, a target, I guess. So
yeah. So you wouldn't recommend a shotgun?
No, I would. I'm just saying that you got to remember when you're walking out of a metropolitan area with the long gun, people are going to notice you, whether it's
right.
an AR or a shotgun. So if you live in the inner city, that may not be an option for you. You may need to have smaller guns or a long gun that breaks down into smaller parts so you can have it in your bag, assemble it when you get out.
Right. Interesting.
But I wouldn't waste your time filling up your bag full of heavy food cans and stuff like that. You're letting society go if you happen to do that.
Exactly. So you have to learn it wouldn't be a bad idea to learn how to live off the land and learn what you can eat, what you can't eat.
Oh, that's another good point. One of the main things in my bag is a book of edible plants for North America.
Yep.
You need to know what food grows where you live specifically.
Yep. Now, I know I don't really get into Ransom, the whole Nibiru thing and pole shift and all that, but do you think about going towards high ground and stuff like that, or do you think you're just going to live where you live?
Well, I live next to a mountain that's 13,000 feet, so if there's any kind of major flooding on the planet, I think I'll be okay at the tip top of that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Do you think that people should get off the coast?
I don't want to tell people how to live or live in fear, but it can flood fast. We know that it can do that.
Somebody's talking about slingshots in the chat room.
Slingshots are great if you know how to use it. I mean, you're not just going to pick up a slingshot and start being a whiz at it. If you weren't a kid, going around doing stuff with it. But yeah, that could totally get you rabbits and small animals if you're good with it.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're highly motivated, you might get good, huh?
Yeah. I actually have given my son one of those to practice with. He is yet to take it out and do anything with it, though.
Are we talking about a wrist rocket, or are we talking about an old school slingshot?
I was thinking of a wrist rocket, the kind that's got a handle and you pull it back, you got a ball bearing. Yeah, you can get lunch with that all day long.
Because I mean, you can use rocks and stones and everything as a projectile, right? Yeah, because I mean, that's another thing about if you were to bug out with a handgun, I mean, ammunition's heavy.
Yes, and you would have to save that most likely for people.
Yes.
That's not something you're really going to try to hunt with, in my opinion.
So that's going to be strictly for self-protection.
Yeah.
Excellent. Now, you asked me a question about a spiritual go bag, and
well, yeah, what I meant by that is like when you're out there and you're realizing that the world has gone to shit or whatever emergency it is, depression's going to probably set in, that you've let go of your thing. So if you have prepared these spiritual ideas like you talk about, where you're okay with yourself and where you're wanting to go with your spirituality, I think that's a very important part of being mentally capable and not distracted when you're in a dire situation.
And one of the things you just mentioned earlier, Ransom, is when you realize you're walking away from your things, you're never coming back. It's a lot easier when there's fewer things you're walking away from.
That's true, and I'm a poor person, so that ain't much.
Well, I'm in a place where, I was making, big money. I was, making, over $200,000 a year, had all the toys, had everything. And I realized that, number one, I wasn't really happy. Number two, I wasn't where I wanted to be spiritually. And since that time, I have broken it down to where, I now live in a mobile home and I have very, very few things. So I can walk away from this place and, no worries, no problems. I'm focused on, going on and actually living. So I think, go ahead.
You can't take none of those toys with you. We're temporary. None of that shit matters in the end.
That's so true.
We're all going to die naked. I mean, alone. Maybe people are going to be there, but they're not dying with you, is what I mean. So you are, in a sense, are going to face your creator by yourself. So you might as well get used to that and realize this is all attachment, and attachment is the root of suffering.
Do you have a dog?
I personally don't have a dog. I kind of have like a family dog with my brother. I mean, like it's part of the family. So everybody.
Would you want to have a dog with you if you were bugging out?
If it's trained. If not, it'll get you caught up.
Yeah.
If it's trained.
That's the only thing I feel sad about is my cat. I'm obviously not going to be able to take my cat with me if I have to bug out.
But believe me, you let the cat outside. Cats are cats, and they can feed themselves. So
cats will definitely take care of themselves.
But a dog kind of looks on you, so they're like another family member. And if they're a barker or they're not trained and they run away, they're going to become a hindrance. But if your dog is trained and it listens to you, it may help you find food. It may protect you from aggressors, or even let you know they're there when you don't.
So if you're going to get a dog, you better make sure you got a good dog, and you better make sure you train it. So it's a whole new level of dedication to that animal.
Cocker Spaniel's not going to help you out too much. I'm talking about like a German Shepherd or a Rottweiler, something that's a working dog.
But that's another mouth to feed.
It is, but people are so used to eating a lot of food, they don't realize how little amount of food you can get by with. And sharing a meal with the dog, it wouldn't be a big deal. And they'll find you food, roadkill stuff. There's things that you may decide to eat that you never would have thought you would have eaten before.
Right. Absolutely. I can see that. But yeah, I mean, the spiritual go bag is almost, it's preparation beforehand, because if you've cut yourself off from a lot of things, if you cut yourself off from the need of a lot of things, and people don't think about spirituality in the terms of, learning to fast and learning to, push away and learning to not eat some of the things that you normally eat. I mean, part of that discipline goes a long way if you find yourself out in the middle of the wilderness.
Yes, I've practiced starving on purpose.
Yep.
I wouldn't say starving. Fasting is more appropriate, because if you're mentally okay with it, you can do your body is resilient. And if you're not bogged down with depression and feeling tired and all of that stuff, a little amount of food, it can feel like a wake up.
It can.
Like in the past year, I've lost almost 100 pounds from just changing my diet.
Just from fasting?
Well, I consider it fasting. I eat one meal a day, and it's always got protein, vegetables, and a small amount of starch. And it's, if I can, organic.
So you don't eat hardly any carbs, and you just eat one meal a day?
That's right. I cut out all that GMO bread, chips, all of that garbage. It's just poison. It's not even real food. And all it does is make you fat and tired and unhealthy.
That's so true. That's so true. And
now, I've been known to let Del Taco let me call them over there sometimes, but
yeah, that happens from time to time. And also, if you, and I always say this, and people probably get tired of hearing me say this, but if you can get yourself to where your spiritual intuition is active, I mean, it's just amazing how effective it is. You know things before they happen. You hear things coming. You can feel things coming before you hear them coming, and it's so important and so imperative to do it. And the day is now. And it's interesting you said about you'll eat a lot of things. I was in the Air Force. We went through survival training, and the best thing I ever ate was a porcupine, Ransom.
Wow, I imagine so. Did they make you do the whole rabbit eyeball thing and all that, telling you that that's the best part? And
no, we didn't do that. But I was a crew chief, a C-130 flight crew member, and we had to go through a 28-day survival training, and we managed to trap this porcupine. And I'll tell you what, once you clean them up, that's some good eating if you're really, really hungry.
Yeah, my thing is I really don't want to eat animals.
Me either.
The fact is in North America and in the wintertime, if you're anywhere other than the southern states down by the coast, there's nothing to eat other than bark and meat.
What are you eating now? Are you eating animals now?
I mean, I have no choice. I don't have that much money, and I can't afford the amount of organic vegetation it needs to supplement your diet.
Yeah.
So I eat like one pork chop or one steak a day, like a
Yeah.
small portion of protein or chicken.
Hmm.
Yeah, if I had my choice, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I would rather eat. You know, beans are pretty cheap. We do that a lot. But I do have a growing teenager now, so I have to feed him real
Yeah.
food.
Do you think you could eat one meal a day and eat it non-meat?
I think so. Yeah, if you supplement with beans and other protein vegetation like lentils, and there's other things that you can eat.
Yeah.
It's just hard psychologically to eat a bunch of nuts and beans. After a while, you crave animal fat because we have bicuspids. I'm sorry to tell people, those are predator teeth, and our eyes are straightforward like a predator.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people don't like to think of that. I would love, I really don't like to eat meat. I'd rather not eat meat, but
Well, we have
I don't feel optimal if I don't. Say it again.
no. Well, like nowadays we have a choice. Cavemen didn't really have much of a choice. If you have money, you can buy and choose to do that. But if you're actually living off the land, your principles are going to starve you to death.
Exactly. You eat what you can when you can when you're living off the land. Now, what do you think you should get clothing wise?
I suggest Gore-Tex, military grade Gore-Tex.
Yeah, and some good
Because
boots.
yes, I also have Gore-Tex boots. I wear those every day just to wear them. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can just walk off, and you want to stay dry. Water and sickness are your enemies. Infection.
How about gloves?
I have a pair for extreme weather and some 511 tactical gloves just to wear if it's warm.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And I'm not military. Everybody thinks I'm military. I'm not. I just like gear and I like functionality of gear.
Mm-hmm.
And the military has lined a lot of that gear out already.
Yep. And I mean, you really do have to have this stuff in mind. And, it's sad to start thinking about, these things. But, the guys back to Rex's show, I don't know if it's still going on or not, but they were talking about, if we talk about, the physical realm of it, the human realm, there's obviously a small cabal of people that are making, money and consolidating power. And if they're not perpetrating these acts, they've got to be at least allowing them to be perpetrated, wouldn't you think?
Oh yeah, there's so much CCTV footage that we know there's an operation. If this guy was a real gambler, there would have been thousands and thousands of hours of footage of him.
And we see
fucking
no pictures of him.
now. And not only that, we know for a fact he worked for the Department of Defense through a contractor. So he is a government guy, and he went all around the world. It's all adding up that he is an arms dealer.
Yeah, it's exactly what it adds up to. And
And
he got ticked off, or something went wrong,
or he knows where money went, or in my opinion, this is a gut feeling. I think they're getting rid of the last of the Fast and Furious assets so that they can't track back to the previous administration.
and like the FBI guy noted, dude was most likely dead before this, at least before the shooting was finished.
Yes, I put that in my video a couple days ago that as soon as they released the picture of this head, which is so ironic, they only show you the head portion, and you can't even tell it's really him. But let's say it is him. The bullets are on top of the blood.
That's right.
They're on top, which means he was dead first. Then the casings came down. Because if they were there first and then he shot himself, they would be covered in blood spatter.
So somebody else was there, engaged in the shooting. That's for sure. Yeah,
And we know he had a guest. We don't know who it was. On the 27th, before he officially checked in, he was already checked in room, I think it was 32-135. And he was already checked in on September 27th before officially police are saying he was there. And he had a guest, and he ordered room service for 2.
Yeah.
So we already know he was meeting with people there at that place. And there should be footage of who that guest was. All of that.
There is footage. There's no doubt. It's Las Vegas. How come we're not seeing it?
Because I don't think any of this story happened. I think he's a deep state guy, and he was there for a deal. According to my last my last guest, someone that works in the hotel security says that the whole floor was turned off and looping video for that floor.
That whole floor. Wow. Are you pretty confident in that source?
I trust Kurt. Kurt's the one that blew the lid open on the underwear bombing being a false flag government operation. He was on the plane.
So you don't loop a whole floor security without it being an inside job.
No. And then that goes back to the CEO of the two hotels there. He works for Homeland Security as an advisory person to pick security stuff. So you can guarantee that these two companies that keep popping up, OSI and the Chernoff Group, are going to make billions in the next couple of months with contracts putting in backscatter, X-ray machines, all of that.
And Chernoff was at the center of 9/11 as well.
Yes, he was. And then after that,
what was he? Was he Secretary of Defense or what was he? He was Homeland.
Well, it was right after 9/11, but yes, he became the head of Homeland Security.
That's right. So he was definitely involved in it. Now, I think it was Wayne Steiger that brought up an interesting theory, and I haven't heard anyone else talk about this. He was postulating the theory that this guy might have been using dark arts, and he might have been, psychically blocking the video cameras and stuff.
I doubt that one. I'm not doubting the dark art part, but the technology part I'm not buying into. But obviously all the signs point to an occult thing happening also at the same time. I mean, it's no accident that this happened in front of the Sphinx. If you know the number of the property, that they have like little numbers for the different hotels so that people can find them. And the number is 360, which is the root number of the Sumerian numeric system that goes into the Egyptians and the Sanskrit writings over there with the Vedas. All of that stuff ties in the numerology. Yeah.
And I hate to say, I just want to say this because there's a debate going on in this chat room a little bit about I don't eat animals and all that stuff. Well, if you're a vegan and you do some fasting, what are you eating, Ransom? If you're a vegan and you're fasting, what is your body eating?
It's eating animal. It's eating you.
It's eating animal fat. So I just thought I would point that out.
Well, we know scientifically our body does, especially males. Later, the older you are, you need more meaty fats to produce testosterone. And they're trying to make people think that, you can just get by with being this estrogen-filled, feminine, late male person, and then they wonder why they have problems with manhood. And then
do you think the vegan agenda might be an attack on masculinity?
No, not exactly, because there are places like it could be, because it does work that way. But I think there have been a lot of vegans like in the East that have done well eating. But like I said, they have access to real plants to substitute the meat. If you live in an area like North America in the wild, let me tell you, in the winter, you're not eating plants. Good luck with eating bark, because the Indians were eating bark and they were eating meat.
Yep.
And then the spring that came back, they started eating fruits and vegetables and growing stuff again.
Yeah, that's the way life is.
Yeah, I mean, it's an unfortunate fact. But yes, if I have the choice and I have a refrigerator full of great vegetables and healthy foods and protein supplements, I'm probably not going to eat any meat. But
I agree. I agree 100%.
They're attacking us with the meat too. Like Rex goes on and on about the prions and the. I used to be a butcher for several years, and let me tell you that there's some really gross stuff with the meat. And when I'm talking about eating clean meat off the land, is not the same thing as the stuff at the grocery store. So there's that.
Yeah. Right now, you're having to eat the stuff from the grocery store, right?
Right now, my diet consists of organic pork chops, and like I said, I have to do a small amount to be able to afford that. But it seems to be enough. I just started gaining muscle mass again. I've been working out and keeping my one meal diet going. So your body will adjust.
Excellent. So, I mean, obviously you think there was an occult aspect to this Las Vegas thing, huh?
I don't see any way around it. And those two towers.
Tell me why you don't see any way around it.
It's just that every time I see one of these things, there's something else going on. Like it's October 1st. It's the new moon. It's the first day of real harvest season. This is whenever traditionally you would cut your pumpkins out of the pumpkin patch on the 1st. And they do it. They're doing it in front of the Sphinx, in front of the pyramid. And then those smokestacks, that just bothers me because I got on this trip watching you guys talking about the tarot cards. Is where it started.
Right.
I that the what is
I'm going
it
to show
the
those smokestacks again.
what is that the celestial princess or priestess? I mean, I'm sorry, the
Yeah, you talk about
priestess.
the high priestess she's between the two towers.
Yes, and then that makes me think of 9/11, the two towers. Columbia is the new name for this female deity.
Yeah.
Been different names throughout
I wonder
different
why
years.
these things are still standing there.
I don't know. I really don't know. That bothers me, but the symbology of that alone, and it is two smokestacks, so it's two torches, just like
Look at that.
what's her name? Hecate, the Greek goddess, always has the symbolism of two torches or two towers. I mean, it's everywhere these occult things happen.
And those are just, I mean, they just are two towers that are still standing there. That is
Yes, and
rather
it
odd.
doesn't even seem to have a purpose.
It doesn't seem to have a purpose. Of course, we're not experts on why they're left there, but
Not for sure, but I believe that used to be the Hard Rock Hotel right there.
no, the Hard Rock is down over here somewhere.
Okay, so you remember what that was there?
I think that used to be Hooters.
Hooters, the owl,
Oh
Lilith,
shit, yeah.
Lilith and the towers. See, there it is again. There's the goddess reference right there.
Or was that the
If it was
Trop?
Hooters,
I think
if
it
it
was Hooters.
yeah, because that would put that whole owl symbology into this, and everybody knows that the owl is the wise one in the nighttime that is illuminated.
Wow, that is very, very interesting. I haven't heard much discussion about that. You're the only one I've ever heard say anything about these two towers.
I just noticed that right away when I looked down at it because I knew there would be something. And I was so surprised to see that it actually was right where I was going, wanted or not wanted, where I thought it was going to be, which would be in front of the Sphinx, because it's like an altar to a god or goddess. There it is.
Yeah.
This whole thing is a mock-up of Egypt right here. And if you notice, the Mandalay Bay is a different kind of pyramid. It's a three-sided star.
I never even thought about that. It is a star, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's some more of that, and they're owned by the same people. But if you look over here back at the what is that? The Luxor, the pyramid there. The number that they give you for where it's at is 360. I don't see it on this map, but the lot, like for when you're looking for hotels, the number is 360, and it marks the Sphinx also is 360 because they're all properties of the MGM grant there.
Yeah. And it's interesting that the Chris Angel Mind Freak is going on at the MGM too.
Yeah, if you I saw it before. Somewhere on one of these corners is the Diablo Cafe as well.
That's true. Yep.
And I thought, it's just over and over. These occult symbols are everywhere.
And this
Aurora,
isn't.
look at that. There's the Aurora Bar, Starbucks. I mean, all of it.
Yeah.
The Cafe. But, Aurora was the Colorado shooting.
That's true. It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Here's the Trop. So that was the Hooters.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what's this little castle thing over here?
That's the Excalibur.
All of it's based on old world occult stuff, man.
But this stuff has been here a long time, obviously.
Yeah,
I know that.
But there was a purpose for building it. There's reasons why they went in these directions with these themes. And
so you're saying even way back then there was reasons for all of it.
Oh, I don't see a coincidence in anything anymore.
The Diablo's Cantina is way up here.
Is it?
Yeah.
I saw one on the map when I was looking the other day that said cafe, so I don't know if that's the same thing. It probably is. But yeah, all this stuff's downtown on this strip.
It's pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, to think about some of this imagery and symbology.
It is Sin City, after all.
Yeah. And you can almost, I mean, this is getting kind of maybe a little bit out there, but if you look at this monorail, there's a snake kind of slithering its way through the whole thing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do see that now. And that building.
That's the monorail. It goes all the way down, almost, it's all the way down to, it used to be the Riviera. I think that's gone now, and it comes all the way to Mandalay Bay.
What are these two buildings on the other side of the pyramid that look like Mayan step pyramids?
That's part of the Luxor. They have actually 3 pyramids. So they've got this one, and they've got the step ones.
There's your Egypt.
Yep.
3 pyramids. The number 3. I can't get over these things. The fact that he had 23 guns and 27 residences and, these numbers that just keep popping up everywhere.
I mean, and if you were going to go do something like this, you're not going to take 23 guns in there. It's stupid.
No, like I was trying to point that out with my video. It's just a guy that works at a gun and pawn, and I think they have an auto license, but he goes through 832 rounds on the same gun before it overheats.
So why would he have brought 23 guns?
Yeah, he doesn't need 23. So you need 1 and a backup, maybe, if you're doing this by yourself.
Or maybe 3 if you're really trying to be super careful.
Yeah, but I just don't see 23 guns unless you're selling 23 guns.
Now, see, that makes sense. If he didn't bring those guns there to commit this atrocity, he brought those guns there to sell them.
Yeah, and my guest said that everything points to him, like there was some kind of FBI sting going on, and they just went live with the drill and used him as the fall guy.
And I've hesitated saying this, but I'm going to say it because, I lived in Las Vegas for 5 years, and Las Vegas is arguably the biggest timeshare city in the world. Timeshare, Las Vegas or Orlando. And in Las Vegas, there is a huge, and I'm not making any implications. I'm just saying a fact. There is a huge Muslim Islamic population within the Las Vegas timeshare business. Probably upwards of 40 to 50% of all the timeshare employees in Las Vegas timeshare are Muslims.
And what's Alibaba? Is that a genie?
Where do you see that?
That's the little road opposite of the exit where they were all shot right there.
Oh, yeah, because there used to be an Alibaba casino, too, a little bitty one.
Oh, wow. And that's a genie, right?
Yeah, Alibaba is a genie.
Jinn.
A jinn, yeah. And then, ISIS has claimed responsibility for it. They've offered some proof. And from what I understand, ISIS doesn't typically just claim responsibility unless they really have responsibility.
Well, you got to remember, ISIS is ran by our own CIA. And it's been open about that since Bush. So
we're not supposed to talk about that, Ransom.
We're just talking about mercenaries that this guy would have been selling guns to on these trips.
So you're saying that he came. So walk us through a scenario as you see it might have happened. This guy's bringing in 23 guns to sell to who, probably?
There's no telling who, but they obviously were watching him. And I think there was several different government deep state. Somebody was watching him from his angle. Plus, they also had another op going on, and I think he just happened to be in the middle of it. And he's perfect for cleaning up.
And he's one of the last Fast and Furious guys. That makes perfect sense.
How better to get rid of him than say he was a mass shooter and get an agenda out of it for some security measures in Las Vegas?
So they popped him, shot these people themselves.
Yeah.
And set up this whole agenda to make a bunch of money and make people really frightened.
And my guest was pointing out from those pictures, you can't even identify that that's actually him. So he could be retired. He's 64 after all. Year of retirement out of the it's time for him to retire one way or another. Either
he sent $100,000 to the PI. Maybe he's somewhere on an island right now.
Yeah, for all I know, he's sipping up pina coladas.
And if he did convert to Islam 6 months ago, the PI, Philippine Islands, is there's a whole lot of Muslim controlled areas in the Philippine Islands.
Yeah, so even half the facts that they're telling us would fit into the bogus thing that happened here. I mean,
now if you're bringing up 3 guns to kill people with, you could probably put them in a golf bag and get them up there.
Yeah,
but 23.
Yeah, that would be pretty heavy, wouldn't it? Even the bellhop would be saying, "What do you got in here?" And if
you get a golf bag and put a fake top on it with some fake golf heads on it, you could put 3 guns in a golf bag, and the freaking head of the security of the Mandalay Bay would walk it up to your room and not think twice about it.
Yeah, and it would be the right weight.
It would be the right weight, exactly. And it would make the right noise. It would jiggle and like golf clubs would.
Well, they were pointing out on Rex's show that
see it and not think anything about it.
Yeah, these guys come in your room when you're gone.
And you see, I live there. You don't realize every time you check into a Las Vegas hotel, you are signing that you do allow them to come into your room unannounced, whether it's got the do not disturb or not, and they will be checking it when you're not there.
Yeah, so it's housekeeping would have seen 23 guns laying around and called the FBI,
Yeah.
in my
So how
opinion.
come nobody is up in arms about this? Is there really that many people in this country that are still that asleep that they just don't care?
Dude, there were people sitting there in the shooting looking at their phone calls in a vegetative state. Because the first thing that most people do nowadays when anything goes wrong is grab their phone, like the phone has the answer.
Yeah.
I watch it all the time. You can frazzle someone and get them upset, and they'll go right to their phone right away.
It's horrible.
And so it's like our brain is being replaced with the internet and the phone, and people are being fluoridated. They're eating bad food. They're spraying stuff in the air. They're spiritually trying to distract you into these different religions, and so the whole thing is like, you remember how you were saying that you have to stay spiritually awake and attuned, um, to your surroundings and have your sixth sense working. Well, how can you do that if they're pumping you full of vaccines and metals and different stuff? You're getting blocked out of the information field.
Yeah. I mean, and if you think about it, to me, it makes perfect sense because you've got, this God who I'm no longer giving him the privilege of saying his name, he that shall not be named. He gets his energy and he lives by bloodshed and he lives by prayers. So these things are perfect ways to, number one, do some bloodshed. And can you imagine all the praying that's been going on since
And
this and around
not
this?
just all the praying, but imagine all the people, law enforcement, government, television, everybody saying, let's all pray for the victims and the this and that. So they're not, there's a major campaign to get you to pray to these guys.
To me, it makes perfect sense spiritually.
Yeah, like, because the first thing probably a normal person would be is to pray, and I do pray to the what I consider when I'm praying. I think I'm talking to the person or being that created everything, the all creator. I
Right.
don't. I even make it specific in my prayer that I'm not talking to any of these imposters.
That's so smart.
I mean, because
That
I
is
don't
so
claim to know
smart.
who the creator is, but I know that these other ones they're telling me don't fit into what my idea of the creator should be.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
They
I
don't
mean,
see.
it's interesting because we're talking about go bags. If you're physically prepared with the go bag, that does take a lot of the stress and the mental dis-ease out of it. And if you're spiritually prepared, then you know that, I mean, everything's going to be all right. Even if you do get taken out, you're going to a better place. So if you can get yourself physically prepared and mentally prepared, you're really taking yourself a long way from their matrix of fear and doubt and worry. And if you can have yourself the ability to survive, in the wild for a period of time, you almost get yourself beyond their reach.
Yeah, not only that, just the simple fact of getting out into nature away from all the 5G and all of the electromagnetic crap, and just sitting there with just you and the creator out there, basically. Nature.
Absolutely. What do you think about having an RV?
RVs are great. I can't afford one, but if you can afford to have one strategically located, maybe to get back to that nobody knows about, that would be great.
That would be great. I've got one that I'm trying to decide if I want to sell it or keep it. I bought it because I thought I was going to be living in it full time and, going around the country doing what I do. And, my parents got sick and now I've got it just sitting there and I just don't know what to do with it. But I can't quite bring myself to sell it, but I don't know what I should do with it.
My brother's still hanging on to the one that we used to go camping in as children. My grandpa gave it to him, and he keeps that around, even though it's old 70s. There's just something about it. I remember camping as a kid and doing everything out in the wilderness when we went, and
Yep.
that was the house. You brought your house with you.
Mine's a 78 Beaver Monterey, and I mean that thing runs like a scalded ape. And
Yeah.
it's in good shape, but man, I got to pay $64 a month to keep it somewhere because they won't let me park it here. But I just
I wouldn't
can't
depend on being able to drive though.
Exactly.
But if you see it coming, like you're talking about, where you're a little awake and you really feel like this is it, how would that hurt for you to drive out somewhere and wait it out?
Exactly. Just drive out somewhere and just park it.
Yeah, if you're wrong, that's great. If you're right, you're set.
But then if I brought my saw, I could cut some things and camo it so no one could see it.
Well, that too, and you can bring a cat if you leave in that.
I could bring the cat.
I got 3 of them. I have no idea what I'll do with them. I would try to figure out a way to take them. One of them's trained. I can put in a bag and it'll hang out. The other 2 are regular house cats, and they're just not cooperative.
Mine is he's a nutcase. But I mean, he's a great cat, but he's not a traveler. He's just awful. But that's the thing about a cat. I mean, if he had to, and if he had to go out, he'd be hiding under a car or something for a few days. He'd get hungry and he'd figure it out.
Have you noticed that your cat is a great guard dog, though? They hear stuff through the wall. You know, when people are coming, they pay attention. Great. I pay attention to my cats. They tell me whenever someone's outside. If it's an animal, if it's a human, I can tell by the way they're acting.
And they even, I don't know how you feel about this, but they even can do that with spiritual entities as well.
You know,
I know they can.
I was one that never believed in ghosts or stuff like that. But the more I studied science, the more science confirmed that the possibility of interdimensional things on different planes and vibrations can exist. So now the whole idea of maybe not ghosts like dead people coming back to you, but spiritual entities that aren't on the same plane is totally scientific, plausible now. And my own experience with the shadow thing kind of changed my opinion on things being out there.
You know, it's interesting you bring up shadow people. I've been dealing with shadow people for 35 years. And they've actually begun to change. What did yours, the one you saw, what did it look like?
It looked like a buff human, but with no details.
Was it wearing a hat or a coat?
No, I did not see the hat, man. I only
saw it. Interesting. It's so interesting. Lyndon,
my video.
What's Lyndon talking about? My 78. Yeah, it's a 78 Beaver Monterey. It's in nice condition. It does look old. It's the one with the van on the front of it. It's got a Chevy van on the front of it.
Right.
And it's got the thing on top. So I sleep up top, and I've got 15 feet of room, which is plenty for me. A bathroom bigger than the one in my house probably. But anyway, 30 years ago, Ransom, shadow men always had a great big hat on. And they always had something with, it looked like they had a big coat with the collar turned up, but only in the last 5 or 6 years have they stopped looking like that. And
I think that's the boss man.
What's that?
I believe that's the management. I put him in my video too, even though I've never seen him. I believe because whenever people see them, they see more of them with him. Whenever they see one shadow person, it's usually not the hat guy. It's just a regular.
But 25, 30 years ago, it was always just one guy and always had that hat, Ransom. Always. I've seen 20, 30 of them. But now they're actually trying to look like dead relatives. They're trying to approximate. They still are opaque. You can't see through them or see any detail. But now they kind of try to look like, the last one I saw was trying to look like this lady's dead dad.
I see them trying to trick you. I think the people that see the shadows are the people that can't be tricked. I think that if you're awake enough, you see what they are. And ever since listening to Rex and his Archons thing and my experience where I woke up and it felt like it was doing something to me, I feel like those things are what Rex is talking about, the Archons. I think they go around and fuck with people while they're sleeping, when they're vulnerable, and feed off of their suffering. And if you happen to catch one, and that's why you're usually paralyzed, so that you can't fight back. And I feel like this one time I got up and it looked afraid of me. Like I woke up and I could move and it tried to back off. Now it could be, you can write that up to me just having a delusion or a hallucination, but I don't think so. I felt it.
And they're getting a lot more strategic, because the last one I saw, I happened to be in a lady's house with her. And it was like 3 a.m. And of course we were just studying the Bible. That's all that was going on. Just studying the Bible. She's asleep and I see it. And
is that inviting them in?
What's that?
Studying the Bible. Is that inviting them to you?
We weren't really studying the Bible. I was involved in a relationship with her.
I got you. Okay.
And I woke up and I see him standing there and he's like, trying to egg me on to get me to cast him out. But I knew that I was in her house. And if I cast him out and she didn't want him out, he could bring back 7 more with him, even worse. So I didn't. And then come to find out the next day, I told her about it. She says, "Oh no, I want him to stay." And I'm like, "That's a shadow man." No, that's my, she said she thought it was her dead dad. I think she might've been having
So you see him different.
simulations. What's that?
See it different than other people do. That's what I mean. I think the reason some people see shadows is because they're less available to be tricked.
Yeah.
And see their
Oh, so you
relatives.
think she may see him as her dad, and I see him
Yeah,
as a shadow man?
right.
Ah, you know what? I never even thought of that.
Yeah, so she's seeing something positive. You're seeing what it really is.
That's very good.
And then like other people, like say they like if you think about sleep paralysis and the stories, all the way back hundreds and hundreds of years, people would see what they were told by the propaganda of the church to be afraid of: black cats, witches. When we come in a modern era now, people see aliens, shadow people. I think it has to do with the propaganda that they're telling you. And then if you're not into that, you may see Jesus or Gandhi, or whoever you really relate to is the person that they're tricking you with, feeding off of you and getting into your life.
Davey says it was her dead dad watching you have funnies with his daughter.
That's a horrible thought. That's almost even worse.
Yeah, I'd rather it be a shadow man. That's super creepy. But that's a good point that she might have been seeing her dad. And it wasn't her dad, it was a shadow man. And we broke up over that. She said, well, I'm not making him leave. I'm like, okay. So I got dumped for a demon. That's the first time that ever happened to me. But
well, you think about Heidi. You remember when she says she sees stuff, that she used to see skulls or skeletons or whatever? That may be what freaked her out, or what she was susceptible to, that kind of image. And somebody else, it might be a lizard man or an alien, or their dead aunt that they really liked or they really didn't like. Either way, it goes either way.
it does, and it's amazing. And it's and you look at the media now. Not only do you have, we're going to be killed every day by terrorists, but you've also got this proliferation of horror type entertainment. It's everywhere now.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
They're trying, and unfortunately, I think a lot of it's cool. I love American Gods. I loved Hannibal. I like scary movies. I probably shouldn't, but it's because I know how to deal with. It's not really fear to me, but they are trying to keep us afraid.
I don't think stuff like that has power over you if you don't let it.
Yeah.
I've never been afraid of those boogeyman movies or horror stuff. I know it's Hollywood, like from the get go. So it does, stuff like The Fourth Kind freaked me out, and things like that. Like I don't know why something about that messed with me, but other stuff like ghosts and goblins. But you're right about this horror stuff. They're pushing that where it's humans murdering other humans. Humans
and we've got the whole UFO thing going too.
Yeah, I noticed that, UFOs aren't coming down starting wars or starving people or doing none of that, at least directly. It's all human beings doing it for them.
That's true. That's true. And I think that, so, I'm thinking about, even if I am successful at evicting he that shall not be named from this realm, that doesn't mean it's automatically everything's going to go back to everybody's being nice and sweet, because you still got a lot of evil, rat bastard humans.
Psychic residue.
And it's like, I don't know if you watched the Wonder Woman movie, but she well, I won't tell you what happened, but she did something that she thought was going to end it all, but it didn't, because the people were still evil. So it's a long-term game. Even if you can get rid of the evil fallen God, there's still a lot of evil fallen people that have been influenced by him for a long time, and it's going to take a while to work it all out.
What do you think about how people keep talking about that there's just like regular people that have souls, and then there's these other things that are using vessels like ours, but actually there's no soul there. They're like automatons, no conscience.
I haven't personally witnessed any of them, Ransom.
Well, I keep hearing different people come up with this concept. Like there's plenty of human beings, but not all human beings are actually have a soul and are real entities. Like there's other ones part of the program that are just there to cause suffering. Basically what we call a psychopath. Somebody has no empathy, no love, no hate. They just do things and they don't care.
Well, I certainly wouldn't rule it out. I can't say that I've had any physical or any personal experience with them.
Because I feel evil when I meet evil people. I don't feel automaton. I feel like they have they're pushing off the same kind of vibe that I have, but opposite.
I agree. Yeah, it doesn't really resonate with me. I think that's maybe another part of the fear agenda. So I don't know. I really don't know.
What's your view on this? Like when you meet someone, do you generally know within the first 5 to 10 minutes whether or not you're going to be able to be compatible with this person, whether or not you get a vibe off of them as being good or bad?
If I'm paying attention, I do for sure, because that's part of your blink. I know, instantly. I can size someone up spiritually. I instinctively and automatically read auras now because I've been doing it for so long. But if I get distracted or if I'm not really on my game or something, I tend to be a little bit too welcoming of people. So I have to make sure that I'm in the right space so I can see and pick up. Because you don't want to give any of your energy away to someone that is going to be, bad for you.
It seems to be that's how society's set up now. Everybody wants in your business. Everybody wants to suck off of your energy.
Right.
Like it's like we made society that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time. It really is. And I was talking about today. You didn't watch the show I did earlier today, did you?
No, I actually slept in the daytime because I stayed up last night. So
good.
When I woke up, it was.
Well, basically, the idea is that we were created by the Elohim, and we were created in their exact image, just like them. So we were a spiritual being, essentially, and they were training us to learn how to manifest in a physical body. We weren't quite there yet, and this one that used to be Elohim that got kicked out, the one that he that should not be named, said, hey, I'll make you these bodies so you don't have to wait for them. He made us these bodies. We got stuck in them. And that he took dominion over this world, when it says very clearly in Genesis that we were created to have dominion over the world. And not only did he take dominion over us, but he acted through the Roman Empire. He acted through the British Empire, and they have systematically gone and taken away all the other gods. I mean, think about what the Catholic Church did. They went into all these other people that had all these other gods and said, you can't have these gods anymore. You've got to pray only to this name. And then the British Empire did the same thing. You can't have these other gods. You only got to pray to this God in this name. So not only did he take away our sovereignty, but he took away all of the worship and all of the praise of all of the other gods. And and he's got this monopoly. So what I'm saying is, we know this entity has corrupted our sovereignty. We know that he has us captive in these bodies. Why don't we go to the old gods and say, hey, look, he's stolen your praise. He's stolen your worship. You're dying because he's stolen what you live on. Why don't you help us organize a rebellion to kick him out? Well, how does that strike you?
I think it would be up to us because we have free will. So it's your choice to not accept or accept them. I don't think another God or entity can help you decide whether or not you're going to go down a path or not.
But my idea is, could you get a coalition of gods that would work against he that will not be named to move him out?
Well, they don't seem to be participating now.
Well, that's because they don't have any energy. I almost called you his name. They don't have any energy, Ransom, because the only way a god gets energy is if people pray to it, a god or goddesses, if people pray to it or mention their name.
Is that why he made these bodies, so that we're disconnected from it?
Absolutely. He's got us trapped in these bodies. But what would happen if we could go to these other gods and goddesses and say, hey, look, let's just say me. I got a YouTube channel with almost 8,000 people. We got about 1 million people a month, 1 million watch minutes a month. Yeah. I will put your name back out there. Your name will be on the lips of people again. We're not going to worship you, but we'll give you honor. We'll give you respect if you help us kick him out.
I've seen many programs about that, about old gods that got forgotten. Nobody gave them praise. And then, just a couple people, but they always put it in a negative fashion. Like, as soon as they got a prayer, they go out, start doing sacrifices right away. So people will remember them. Stuff like that. Supernatural.
I wouldn't work with any blood gods, any gods that do blood sacrifice, but.
Remember the girl? I don't remember her. Not girl. She's a woman. The woman you had on the other day that was talking about the gardens and the fairies. And,
yes, Ashley from the Stars. Ashley from the Stars.
I was watching that and I realized you guys kept talking about these elementors or whatever, like different things made out of stuff. And I realized that kind of fits into what you're talking about him making us bodies. We're made from the soil or the clay or whatever you want to call it. So we're a mix of all of the elements. We're actually abnormal to have all of the elements together, like water and gold and all of that. All of those weird metals and different things are found in an unusual concentrated form in a human being. So we literally are elements.
That's amazing, Ransom. I never even thought of that. So maybe even the elementals, the fair folk, would work with us.
Well, it would seem like they would have a similar.
They have a vested interest. Absolutely. Yeah. So there you go, guys. And I know I'm blowing people's minds, but there's actually scripture for it. The parable of the tenant says that the Elohim created a place. Somebody took it over and is oppressing all the rest of the people. And the Elohim sent some people to try to talk him out of it. And finally they said, enough is enough. And it's time for the people that are in the vineyard to kick out the husbandmen so they can give it to other people.
I always wanted to know who the other us's were in the let us make man in our image. Who are the other ones? What's their names? And do they hold culpability for the events that folded? Because obviously they participated in the beginning.
Well, in the beginning, he that should not be named was one of them. He was one of the Elohim. They threw him out, and he just ran a coup. He took away, he's brilliant. I hate to say it, but he's brilliant. But he took away all their worship. He took away all their prayers. And now they're basically powerless.
Well, you know what? That's what's funny is these ideas. You can talk about Anunnaki, but the same story is basically there.
Yeah.
So people came from somewhere else, maybe space, maybe another dimension. But the first thing they did here is start using resources from Earth, the life, and then they created man to help them suck it further. You know, like the whole point of if you go with the Anunnaki stuff, they were mining the earth. They were pulling the stuff out of the earth. So they're literally sucking off the life force of our planet and then make us part of that. Like we're unwitting accessories to the destruction.
Almost like the people that are perpetrating these mass shootings and mass killings.
Which makes it more and more where people are living in fear and suffering and more they want to pray to what they were told was the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about the whole, I already knew that, but the way you put it together with cannibalism, I always had that weird thing with the Catholic Church about the way they eat the body of Christ and drink his blood. And from a little kid, I just thought that is so bizarre. I thought the Bible said not to ingest blood.
It did.
And then you're telling us to ingest a copy of the supposed enlightened man, the Son of God, and you want us to cannibalize him too?
It's crazy the stuff we fall for. And these ideas are out there in the ether, like that show that Rex always talks about, American Gods. I don't know if you ever watched it.
I got to watch that. Everybody keeps telling me to.
But I watched the whole first season of it, and basically it's what I'm talking about. The gods trying to get the old gods trying to get together to kick out the new gods so they can get their power back because everybody's forgetting about them. And I'm reading the book right now. And, we always say that, the powers that be, the media will tell us what's going on because they have some type of a code. I don't know if that's true, or is it just because the ideas are in the ether and people grab them?
I don't think it's in play anymore because they've showed us so many movies over the decades that have already warned us and given us these ideas that I don't think they have to tell you anymore. I think they just do it. And the game now is to get you to participate in it. Like I think 9/11 was about that. They instantly killed 3,000 people in a sacrifice and made the whole world participate in it. Whether they were praying for it or just discussed it or some of the people that were happy about it. It doesn't matter. In one way or another, that touched almost everybody on the planet. They all participated in that sacrifice.
And think about how many people got rich off of it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's another whole nother topic. There was tons of that.
Yeah.
There were people that didn't even go pick up their money. There were put options on these airplanes that the airline would fail, and some of them were too scared to come and pick up their earnings.
Oh, I didn't know about that. So there were some people that were going to profit off it, but they said, "Oh, we're not going to do it."
Yeah, and then you got the Larry Silverstein that insures it for individual terrorist attacks. So he got paid double on the amount because he said they were two separate terrorist attacks. And no one wants to talk about building 7 in the
No.
background.
And I mean, no one really wants to talk either about, I mean, the third rail is, okay, all this stuff being perpetrated by Hollywood. Who really makes the decisions in Hollywood? Who owns most of Vegas?
Hollywood.
I mean, and who is it though? It's a lot of it is the Jewish people.
Yeah. And if you can go back further than that, it's tied to the Druids.
Is it really?
Well, the Hollywood is a magic wand. The Druids used to make their magic wands out of the holly tree.
Holly tree, okay.
So Hollywood is a representation of a wand, and just like an orchestra, he's telling you a spell, a story, and you buy into it. And they have a science behind the music and the lighting and the optics to make you feel, sad or mad or whatever. They're really playing with your emotions using spell. I think that's magic. It's the whole thing. It's what do they always call it? Hollywood magic.
Because I've always had kind of a positive feeling towards the Druids for some reason.
Well, not to say that they weren't originally positive. What I'm saying is that they're using all the same symbology of people that supposedly practiced magic in Europe.
Yeah.
And look, and the other thing, the Jews of nowadays that everybody talks about running the Zionists, if you look at them, they're all European whites.
Ashkenazi is the word.
Yeah, so like they don't look like people that came out of the Middle East anytime recently.
Because they didn't. They're all from Germany, Poland.
Yes. So these are all the people that used to worship those old gods, like you were talking about before, Odin, and you had the Druids and the Norsemen and all of these different, what they call pagan gods now that you're not supposed to think about and remember unless Hollywood tells you how to remember them and what they were like.
And they do. I mean, if you look at American Gods, those are the gods that are in that show.
The Norsemen and stuff like
some of them. There's a group of them. I don't want to tell you the whole story because you're going to watch it and read about it, but it's
Loki.
It's very interesting. Huh?
Got like people like Loki and Thor and them type of people.
Them type of people, yes.
Irma, the goddess, the German goddess too. That is obviously was the name of that last hurricane you were dealing with.
Every now and then you get something that in the chat room that just chaps your butt. Jeff doesn't answer emails. He hasn't gone back to me. Maybe because I'm not American. I hope that's not the case.
What?
I answer emails all the time. The only answer, sometimes if you send me a stupid email, I'm not going to answer it because I'm busy. Did I say that out loud?
Yes.
I didn't.
All right. You know what's funny to me is this is something to the audience. I message Rex all the time. I send him links to stuff all the time. I know he has 100,000 plus subscribers, and there are tons of people bombarding him all day long. I don't expect him to get right back to me or even pay attention to me. And if you got 8,000 subscribers, for your subscribers, think about that. You have 8,000 people that possibly are trying to converse with you. You can't pay attention always to every single person.
I get about 1,000 emails a day, literally.
That's crazy. That's a lot. I couldn't answer 1,000 people back. You're lucky if I answered you if you call me on the phone.
And I'm not trying to ignore people, but I mean, sometimes there's some things that are just, some things I just can't really give time to because they're just too far out there, too whatever. And so
this is far out there, but I think talking about it helps people find their way to the right truth.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I'm sorry if I can't answer your emails, but I can't always answer your emails. That's just the way it is. I do my very best, and I think I probably do more. I mean, I always get people say, I can't believe you're really responding to me.
Yeah, I was surprised when people that did respond to me did, because I figured they would have been busy.
Yeah. Well, I do my best, and I'm sorry if I made you feel bad, but it is what it is. So it's just...
I just don't understand too.
Yeah,
I don't even know what they're talking about, so I don't know how to respond.
ZMU has left the building, says Lee Veltman. Do you know who Lee Veltman is, Ransom?
The guy in the comment section?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see his comments. I mean, I don't know him personally, but yeah, he's in all of the rooms every time I am.
Is he a real person?
I don't know if well, obviously somebody's typing something.
Because it looks like his picture looks like Carson Palmer, quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals.
Probably is. They were debating one night in there whether or not he and this other guy were the same person that were talking to each other.
Oh, so that's hilarious.
That would be a lot of trouble to sit there and conversate in two windows with yourself about yourself.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Yeah, he says he's a bot. Laugh out loud.
Yeah, as far as I know, if you're not on camera, I don't even know if you're real. And even then, how do I know what I'm looking at still?
Yeah, somebody was trying to tell me that that Rex was a character. He's not real. He's just a character.
Well, he's definitely a character, but I think he
definitely is a character.
He makes me feel like that kid at school that I liked because he tripped on all the same stuff, but he got away with just saying it out loud. You know what I mean? I couldn't get away with that. You know, like it wouldn't come out that way.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's a weird time to be alive. Part of me says it's a great time to be alive. Some part of me says, wow, it's a crazy time to be alive. But if we're prepared.
So you're a Pentecostal, right, Jeff? And the stuff with the snakes there, is that, what do you?
I was just this side of the snakes. I never did the snakes.
So, but basically the snakes are just having trust that they won't harm you, right?
Well, it's like there's one verse in Mark that says you can pick up snakes and they won't bite you. You can drink deadly things and they won't hurt you. And of course, it means if you accidentally drink something poison, you should be protected. If a snake bites you, you're not. But people will actually go out of their way and pick up snakes, and as an act of faith. It's really an act of stupidity.
A lot of it's what's inside of you. So, like, if I let this guy out on my hand.
Well, he's not a snake. He's a spider, right?
He's venomous, and I know that he doesn't even want to deal with me. He doesn't want any conflict.
Is he venomous?
Yeah, but not to the dangerous amount. I mean,
but if he bit you, it would hurt.
It would hurt. He has big fangs on the bottom. I don't know if
okay.
Let's see if we can get.
I can't see his fangs.
Let's see if we can get him to.
But he's like he's fine, just chilling out there in the bowl with you, huh?
Yeah, he wants out. I'm gonna let him back out in the desert here in a little while.
Yeah. But I mean, I see people handle them and they walk all over you and they're just cool with you.
Yeah, I think
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, see, buddy, I'm not gonna hurt you.
I would not deal with spiders.
See, he doesn't want to mess me up.
Yeah.
I don't really like spiders either, but I know these guys are pretty peaceful. I had a pet when I was a kid that was called Mr. T.
Okay, like a Mr. Tarantula.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to cut him off before he gets up where I will freak out, though.
Yeah.
I don't like him walking around my head and stuff, though.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
You're gonna have to. It's already happened. He's already gone.
Oh, is he off you?
No, he's still on me. He's on my back.
He's down around your back there. So don't sit back. You'll smush him. Yeah. Now he's gonna freak out, or you are.
Well, no, I won't freak out. I don't want him to bite me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not worried about him. He's gonna crawl up my neck. I know it. I hate that.
Poor thing.
But anyway,
I wouldn't do what you're doing right now.
Well, they're God's creatures, man. And if you're not trying to harm them, usually they don't really want to harm you.
Yeah, they understand where you're coming from.
Well, they have a purpose, and you're not it.
What is their purpose?
I mean, in the nature, I'm sure he has a good purpose out there. I'm sure he gets rid of all kinds of other critters that I don't want to come across, like scorpions and stuff like that. They eat them.
They eat bugs too, don't they?
Yeah. So, I mean, they do a job. Well, I usually have my kid around to help me out with stuff like that.
So you're going to let him back out, huh?
Yeah, I don't want to keep him.
Yeah.
And it's a male blonde tarantula is the name of that. And they're all through the Southwest.
I am nervous. It freaks me out. I couldn't do that. I'd be.
Well, I had a horny toad in here last time, and he was like a little calm dragon. He wasn't like these guys do freak out. They got all that hair and stuff on them. It's weird.
See, I don't even really like any kind of creepy crawly things. I'm just not into them.
You guys have all those snakes and stuff down there, like that are from other places?
Yeah, but I stay away from them.
You don't like the snakes either?
I don't like snakes. I don't like spiders. I don't like any of that stuff.
They're just like a cat to me. It's just another critter.
I need to get to that place.
Actually, what I got to do is make sure my cats don't find him, or they
Oh
will kill him.
yeah, because there'll be a battle, won't there?
Yeah, here he comes.
Spiders keep insects from taking over the world. Somebody in the chat room says, Shaina. Yeah, you better get him back in the jar.
Yeah. Well, the thing is to get them to crawl back on your hand. They don't want
I
to.
gotcha. Maybe he's liking they like heat, right?
I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure he would rather be out in the desert than crawling on me.
Yeah, I think you're probably true.
Let's see
Yeah,
how.
I'm kind of girly. I don't like these things.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm common to a point. Once it gets up around my head, that's where I start going. Yeah, you better get off me, dude.
So one last look at Vegas. I mean, it just makes I didn't notice all the occult symbolism. It's pretty striking. And it's pretty sad. But I mean, why wouldn't the guy go into the Luxor and start shooting from there and have a direct shot?
Well, that's where all the elites are probably there watching. They don't want the commotion right up in their doorstep.
Oh, so he goes over to Mandalay Bay instead.
Yeah, and you think about that. If you know, I wouldn't even be surprised if Mandalay Bay shuts down here in the next couple years.
Really?
Yeah, if you notice, they're clearing out lots there.
You think they're going to build something else?
Yeah, judging by where that pyramid's at, I would think it'd be another pyramid.
Wouldn't that be something if they built 3 of them or 2 more?
Yeah. And, like it's the same things here with Vegas. When you go to Memphis, Tennessee, Memphis is an old Egypt name. And
right.
They have the Grand Arch Bridge between Tennessee and Arkansas. And it's on the Mississippi, which everybody refers to as the New Nile.
Yeah. I was just in Memphis not too long ago.
And that's another place that's all about music, just like Las Vegas is a lot about music and entertainment, which in my view, music and entertainment leads back to spells and magic, or you could call it something else and call it psychological warfare or whatever you want to. It's pretty much the same thing.
Do you think this guy was even involved in this? I mean, he didn't rent this suite so he could shoot from here, is what you're saying?
I think he went up there to sell guns.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody in the government seized on the opportunity.
They said, "Hey, we got a chance here. We can kill several birds with one stone."
If they had been watching him, they would have known his schedule. They would have had plenty of time to set this up, where he was going to be, when he was going to be. And you can't get past the fact that this is a harvest festival full of a bunch of country music, Western people that are always connected to farms and farming.
And you can't get past the fact that there's no way. I mean, you can't even count cards in a Vegas casino without getting caught. But this guy take 23 guns up to his room.
Yeah, and there's a camera on every damn slot machine watching people.
So somebody had to know he was there with 23 guns. They had to watch him bring him up.
Yeah. I mean, he had to have been on all kinds of footage.
But, I mean, if they had that, did you get him back in the bowl?
Yeah, he volunteered.
But, think about it, Ransom. If you had this exercise, he's just part of the exercise. Let him go up.
Yeah. And think about that, too. If my other guest is right and the reports of security guards shooting and the one security guard that got shot in the hallway, that if they were dressed like security guards, they could walk in and out of all the security checkpoints with not a bat of the eye.
But they would have had to at least have some type of a verifiable ID, right? Not just dressed up in a thing that says security.
They would have to have been hotel security.
Yeah.
Hotel or local law enforcement.
So this was definitely something really well planned.
And we know there was a bunch of law enforcement because they were having an anti-terror drill there.
It's very sad when you think about it.
Yeah, and you find these in all of the places. That San Bernardino shooting, I could prove to you right now that the truck that they used for the drill is the same truck that they said that they shot to death the suspects in.
Yep.
I mean, they put the Utah license plate on it.
And it's like they don't even care. They just want to show you.
No, I think they think people are so dumb and asleep and poisoned and I don't know what the right word for that is, that we're out of phase and most people are not noticing what's right in
Yeah.
front of them.
And down the whole thing, here's a
You think
snake
about it, you would
slither.
think there would be riots over babies in the Pepsi and
Yeah. And here's
but
a snake slithering down the whole strip right to the
yeah,
place where he was shooting from.
and I didn't even see that before till you saw. I mean, like I
Look at
noticed.
that. It comes right into where he was right under where he's shooting from. He's shooting from the head of the snake.
Yeah, and that would you say it was a monorail?
It's the monorail. But look at it. It
Yes.
goes right literally under where he was.
Yeah.
The head of the snake. And it looks like a snake. It slithers through all the way down the strip like a snake.
Yeah, right through all those occult buildings.
Right through Egypt. I mean and oh, check this out, Ransom. I didn't even think about this until just now. Look at this. Look at how at the how am I getting bigger? As it comes into Mandalay Bay, it almost looks like it's a hooded snake.
Well, you want to see something trippy
Like
is
a cobra.
if you put the little guy there in the corner down at Street View, you'll see that there's two Griffin Sphinx also here at the Mandalay Bay, right on the corner, pointed towards he was shooting. So they're also looking at it.
Where are the sphinxes?
Yeah, right here at the edge of the Mandalay Park property, where the sidewalk goes around the corner.
Oh, right
there.
here.
Yeah, those are two Griffins.
Are they
Sphinx,
really?
or whatever you want to call them, the Griffin Sphinx, and they are looking that way too.
Let's see if we can find them.
Yeah, and so you
There's
got your obelisk and your Sphinx looking directly at the parking lot where they were shot.
And you got Mind Freak written on the
Yeah.
building facing. Wow. And here they are right here. They're
Yeah,
dragons.
Dragons, sphinxes, I don't know
They
what
look
they
like
are.
dragons.
Yeah. So they're right there looking into the cardinal directions as well.
Are those dragons or are they like dinosaurs? They're dragons, huh?
I think they have beaks if you get up a little closer. I think they're supposed to be griffins, but a griffin, dragon, whatever, it's pretty close.
A griffin is a lion with wings, basically.
Okay, yeah, that's not what this is. This is some kind of bird-headed dragon-looking thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you can go up right to the corner and you can see those good if you skip up the street there, across the street.
Do what? Like go over here?
Yeah, that'll be a good angle too. But on that side of the street, because I've done all this with the Google Earth. See, there you
here
go.
we are.
Yeah, you just turn and look that way.
Whoops.
Yeah, so are those dragons, griffins? I don't know. It's just so much occult stuff. And look, they're almost in the line where this guy was shooting from.
I mean, he's shooting from right here, right? Right in here.
Yep. I don't know which one's the 32nd, but yeah, it's right up there.
Wow. That's crazy. That really is. And look at that thing.
You go down Street View down the street, you'll see what I'm talking about. That directly in front of the obelisk and in the eyesight of the Sphinx is the parking lot where everybody was getting killed. Or the stage or whatever you call it.
You're talking about down here by the obelisk?
Yeah, all the people are directly across from that obelisk. And the Sphinx is looking down on them while they're being killed. So, coincidence? Wow. Maybe. I don't think so. And as you can see,
this is the venue right over here.
That's right. And you can see how it's walled in.
Yes.
And if you look at those two towers, and it gives you more of the idea of that they're two torches.
So here's the stage, right?
Yep. Or right here by that green thing, I think. But yeah, you see those big towers in the background?
There they are right there. Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah, and you can go over there. And
towers.
And then also,
how can I get over there?
I think you double click towards it. Yeah, there's a good view of it right there. See, there are two, and they even have the frilly little metal things left at the top.
Yeah, that's a rebar that's left. Why would you leave those two things standing?
I have no idea other than their symbology. But maybe there is a practical reason I just don't know about.
That is bizarre. That is really bizarre.
And another thing, if back there where you were at, they had the little emblem from the concert, which is a red hand doing the
Here's the stage. That's the stage, obviously, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's set for different things, but if you go back to the ground level and look that way, they have a poster up that's got the mic and it's in the hand like this, so it's doing this. And that was the emblem for that exact Route 91 festival.
What's it doing? I
I don't
can't.
know what you want to call that. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay, like the devil symbol.
Yeah, but it has a mic through it. But yes, that was all over. You can look at the shooting pictures too. So that's the same emblem they used for the.
How can I get back down here to street level like
Uh,
that?
there you go.
Now, where did you say the emblem was?
You can look left. Or that no, the other way. Back over there where the victims were at the stage. And well, see, these are two different dates. But if you go back across the street over there, and it'll turn back into that other picture. So to your right now. And
Over
then
here?
across the street. But anyway, you could here. I could show you.
Yeah.
Well, even the shooting photos, that emblem is all over the place. It's the symbol for the event.
That's crazy.
You know, you
Is
can
crazy.
say that's rock and roll or whatever, but it does have the red mic and it has the hand like that, and that's what it's doing.
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to this.
Those chemtrails on Google Earth there.
Say that again.
All of those pictures of Google Earth show chemtrails downtown in the sky.
Yeah.
So that you can't even get away from that. And they're if you've ever been in one of those casinos, you know that overwhelming tone that they have in there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's confusing. And then they make the things round where it's like that. I don't remember what you call it, but it was like the Lotus thing where you go in and they keep you occupied with pleasure while your life disappears. And that's
actually in American Gods too.
Yeah, that's like a fairy folk thing. It was on True Blood as well, where they go in there and everything's so great that they just forget, and they stay in there forever, and they keep them forgetting while they suck off their energy.
Crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. So, I mean, it seems like the bottom line is if you're prepared, you don't have to give in to fear.
And I'd suggest don't gamble. Then you don't give them the opportunity to suck your emotions out of you when you lose and you're suffering, you're tripping because you lost all your money. Think of the millions of people that go through that in Vegas all the time.
And you know what else? I was doing a series for a while about what was it called? But there's these people that say that the head groups of the people that, are you familiar with the term of soul farms?
Yeah.
The people that run the soul farms, the beings that run the soul farms, guess where they're supposed to be headquartered?
I don't know. Las Vegas?
Las Vegas.
Well, it would make sense. That's where the lost souls go to Sin City.
So the people that run the soul farms are supposed to be headquartered right here in Las Vegas.
Do you remember Stephen King's The Stand?
I don't remember that. No, I wasn't a big Stephen King fan. Look at this picture right here. I just stumbled upon. That gives you the whole view of the whole thing, man. Oh, you can't see it. I gotta put it on share. Sorry.
I thought it was me there.
I mean, check this out. There's the Sphinx watching the sacrifice. Here's the snake crawling through, and there's where he's shooting from.
Oh, and not only that, I have another video. I put a triangle on there. So from the point of the pyramid to the middle of where they're being killed in the parking lot to where the shooter was is a perfect triangle.
Oh, wow. It's a perfect equilateral triangle, huh?
It looked like it to me. I mean, I didn't measure it exactly. All I did is take the software and put a triangle on it and see if it fit.
Yep, and he's right there by the House of Blues. Wow. And here's these two towers as well.
I would really like to know where the shadow of that obelisk was in the morning and the daytime.
How about the shadow of these towers too?
Yeah, that's obviously. So we're looking.
Is there any symbology that it could be almost a perfect square between them?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know. You'd have to look.
Or you could say it's two triangles.
But you notice that, yeah, that's true. Every square is two triangles. It just, I don't know. It bothers me because I see these two towers everywhere with all of these And it's always with the same symbology, stepping on the moon. And if you look over there in the parking lot, this guy's shooting down at the farmers, and both of those little green things look like half moons, which is like the new moon.
They do look, they are half moons.
You know, some of this stuff just could be coincidence. I
mean,
just
look
don't.
here's the Justice card. You've got 2 towers on the Justice card.
Yeah. And the high priestess, if you look at her number, it's number 2 in Roman numerals. There's 2 towers there as well.
Here she is with her 2 towers.
Yeah, you see the numbers at the top. Isn't she a number 2?
She's number 2.
Yeah, it's the 2 towers. And I believe another one is number 9 because it's feminine. So 9/11 is, that's why I always thought that. And then they have Columbia out there. And if you've ever seen the, she's based on Hecate or Diana or Lilith. I mean, I think they're all the same thing.
Wow. And you got to wonder if you believe, like I do, that solar eclipse was the end of Sophia's correction and that the goddess has risen. What better way to take out some goddess power than to perpetrate one of these things right in her face?
Well, I think they have their own version of a goddess themselves, and it ain't the nice one.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it's so ironic that in the 3rd millennium after the Christ, you know, they reset time for Christ.
Look at what she's got there. She's got 2 half moons on her head, just like that stage.
Yeah.
2 half moons, 2 towers.
And the 2 trees.
And look at her. Look at her. What's on her chest? And if we turn it a little bit, what do we got? Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's 4 of them instead of 3, but.
Well, there's 2 Mandalay Bay buildings.
Oh, that's true. But she's also holding a Torah and she's standing on Isis.
She is.
Or the representation of Islam is the moon there.
Yeah.
And here is the tree with the fruit and of the knowledge of good and evil. And it's on a big vase that's holding the water, and her dress is the water because it's the time of Aquarius.
They want to corrupt everything.
Yeah, I think they're doing that too. And I think the reason they did 9/11 is because it's 9 months on the first year of the 3rd millennium. It's a new age. It's Pisces. It's Aquarius. And they gave birth to the New World Order then.
What day was the Las Vegas shooting?
October 1st.
October 1st.
Yes, the first day of harvest season. So they harvested a bunch of farmers there in front of the world.
And they were farmers too. I mean, that was a bunch of, I mean, there were some black people in the crowd and probably some other ethnicities, but it was, like you said, a bunch of farmers, a bunch of country folks.
Yeah, I think it was on purpose too. And it was also an attack on type of people that would vote for Trump.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that they did it because they were against Trump. They just knew that that would be the optics of it. So here shortly, I imagine there's going to be another shooting. And this time it'll be by the left. I mean, by the right. They're going to blame it on the right. Some conservative, Christian, white male is going to shoot up a bunch of Antifa as revenge for the Las Vegas shooting because this guy, they're tying him to Antifa and ISIS and all this other crap.
Well, let's sure hope not.
Well, I hope not too, but that's what they seem to do. You know, like there was the Branch Davidians, and then supposedly revenge for that was Oklahoma City bombing, even though the same players were involved with that. Eric Holder, the Clintons, the same people that were that are still. That's what I mean. A lot of these people haven't changed in the deep state. They're the same people that have been working for the last 3 administrations, even in this new one.
Oh, somebody just mentioned Hoover Dam. That would be an awfully bad thing.
Yeah, and you know you can't. They already have it on Hoover Dam where you can't cross with a gun.
Well, yeah, you almost can't drive across it anymore. It's very hard. I remember when I was leaving Vegas, it was even hard then. But you think about this. You think about the big touristy places in the United States. They just did Orlando.
Yeah.
They've done Vegas. They've done New York City.
Hollywood.
You know, I wasn't going to say it, but wow.
The reason I say Hollywood is because Hollywood's the main name that has the 2 tower thing in there. So the optics are perfect for that. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was done in front of like Columbia Pictures or something like that.
But why would they fire on themselves just to make themselves the martyr?
Well, I think it's about optics. Like you got the Statue of Liberty, which is also known as Lady Liberty or Columbia, which is the female deity. So if you've ever watched the Columbia Pictures, it's also who's there at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And if you look at the little pyramid that goes, you always see these little pyramids with a path in it. That's the path to enlightenment. It's just not meant for the common man.
Right.
They don't be. That's their whole goal, is to keep us from being at the level of enlightenment that some of these evil people are at. Because then they have no power over you when you know the same things they do.
That's true. Well, I mean, it's easy to get caught up in, the fear and the worry of it all. But if we prepare ourselves, then we're really prepared. And I mean, ultimately, if you're prepared spiritually, you know that the separation from this body is not really that big of a deal.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of death. I've always realized that we're temporary. Once I got that through my head, I've had a lot easier life about worrying about stuff. I don't worry so much because that's a thing you cannot change, like the sun coming up in the morning. You don't worry about,
Exactly.
oh my God, the sun's coming up. What can I do about it? Nothing. It's a fact of life. It's part of it.
It is part of it. It absolutely is.
Like you said, we don't get tricked into returning for no reason to relive the same lessons again. And because it seems like that's what it's all about, is confusion. Keep everybody distracted so they don't learn life lessons, like maybe somebody in East India 10,000 years ago had time to sit around and discover inner, like the Vedas and different people. They had time to actually do stuff like that. We're constantly confused with paying the electric bill and where we're going to get our next meal from. And, is there
Absolutely.
a shoot at this event I'm going to, or is the government coming from me?
Yep.
What's in the vaccines? What's in the food? I mean, it's constant.
It's so sad. Do you know any other females that are involved in our genre here besides Heidi and Jenny Moonstone?
No, literally, I got a computer one day and decided I'm going to start making videos. And then when I got out there, somebody told me, I was looking for symbols for one of my videos, and it was looking for the Cherokee symbol that has an eye in the hand. And that brought up the conversation. My friend told me, well, you got to check out Leak Project, because he talks about all the same stuff you do, So I find him, and ironically, there's that symbol that I was looking for.
Oh, for his hand symbol. Yeah.
I don't see coincidence. So I immediately started tripping on Rex, and then from there I came across Heidi and Jenny and you, and so I'm new to the whole YouTube thing. I'm constantly looking every day for people saying new stuff.
And Wayne is good too. I really like Wayne Steiger. He says a lot of good stuff.
On your channel, you got Wayne there, and I subscribe to him too.
Yeah, I'm always looking to try to find some new people and different people that got some good stuff to say.
Yeah, new angles, new opinions, and the more people involved, the more ideas come to fruition, where you notice them, because it's somebody from an outside point of view that's listening to you too.
Absolutely. And besides this cat right here, he's probably got a good couple weeks before he's got to worry about something to eat. So he'll have some time to hone his hunting skills. He's pretty fat.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a cat person. They're so easy to take care of. They do it. You just got to give them food and water, and they do their thing. And
they're good to go.
I can't go to the bathroom, though, without company, which is kind of irritating. They're always there at the door, man. Like, well, what are you doing?
It is very irritating. And they will race to get in there before you shut the door.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
But anyway, man, hey, I appreciate you being on. We've been on for 2 hours. It's probably time to drop off.
All right, man. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. You mentioned it when we were over on Rex. I said, why not? That sounds good. That sounds, and like somebody just said in the chat room, I mean, it's done right in front of a huge pyramid, and I mean, it's a pyramid, and guess what? We're on the bottom.
Yeah.
Right where they were, and then I mean, we're right there.
And they want to know that who was sitting up on the 33rd floor of the Mandalay Bay watching it from his angle. And who was up at the top of that pyramid over there watching from there?
It would be very interesting to see who was up there, but we'll never know.
We'll never know. No, these are people that are faceless, nameless, behind the scenes people.
It'd be so easy to know, though. They know who it was, but I guess there's privacy and all that stuff. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, we can't even get the footage of the alleged crime, so much less who else was there.
it's a horrible, horrible thing. Well, folks, we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. And I know that there's a lot going on, but we hope that we can, learn the lessons and help, keep ourselves prepared physically, keep ourselves prepared spiritually. And, if we can begin to see the snake winding its way through everything and not the positive snake, we can keep our heads on a swivel, and we can begin to prepare ourselves mentally, prepare ourselves spiritually, and be prepared if something like this shall come again. So for Ransom, I'm Jeff Daugherty, your friendly neighborhood Christian whistleblower. We appreciate you being with us tonight, and we hope that you and yours are safe, and we encourage you to be prepared, be ready, be excellent to each other, and even in these horrible times, let's make sure that we stay fearless, my friends.